Welcome to Are You Killing It, the podcast powered by Peak Performance Partners, where our mission is to help your business achieve success faster. I'm your host, Dr. John Ronaldo, and each week our team of business experts brings you the tools, insights, and strategies you need to kill it in your business. No fluff, just real talk to fuel your growth. So let's dive in. Gentlemen, welcome back. Here we go.
Let's go.
For those of you who are only listening, some of the folks around this table were giving some weird faces towards the cameras, and doing some weird pointing things, but that's the energy inward today. I am, as always, joined by the three founders and owners of Peak Performance Partners. We've got Kevin Hernandez,
Hello,
Patrick Stewart,
Yo.
and Ricky Navarre.
Hey-o.
Welcome back, everybody. Here we go. How's the energy? You guys feeling good?
We're great.
Yes.
Great day.
So,
Yes.
we're gonna do another episode on DISC here, but you first need to understand we're gonna do a deep dive on the high C personality, and you need to know that nobody in this room has a high C personality to this profile. So maybe you're gonna get
I
some
do.
jaded.
No,
you got a
you
little
don't.
bit.
It's like a 19.
No,
It's
his,
not high.
No,
it's
I
like
got a high.
here's a
I got a high
52.
C here.
52. Okay. Well, then we're gonna
Call him B.
we're gonna pick on Kevin today. For those of you who are not high C, and then Kevin will redeem himself and redeem high
structure.
C's. Yes. Oh, absolutely.
So Kevin's going to talk about how to hack the disc and get a high C when you're not.
Oh my gosh. All right, here we go.
Oh,
So the high C personality, we're going to delve into this real quickly. We have done numerous episodes on DISC. We love DISC at Peak Performance Partners. It's one of the main foundational tools that we do. We do DISC assessments and DISC debriefs with a whole bunch of clients out there. So this is game changer for you and your organization. So listen up, but definitely come to Peak Performance. Come to the website at 3-peak.com to learn more about what we're talking about here. But Patrick, let me turn it to you first.
All right.
Give us a quick overview of DISC, just in case someone hasn't listened to any of the previous episodes, so they understand what DISC is.
Yeah, so the disc assessment is not a personality test, number one, what it's not. But what it is, it's a behavior assessment. So we all have a way that we behave, and the disc is broken out into 4 different areas. So you got D, so the acronym is DISC, D-I-S-C. D is for dominant, direct, and that's a driver, somebody who's, quick decision makers. I is influence, and that's just the fun people and they want to have a good time. They're people, they're outgoing, they're energetic, they're extroverts. And then you've got the S, which goes for steady. And that steady person, again, is more of a reserved person, introverted. They're people. They're all about people and their surroundings. And then you've got the C, that's compliance, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So they're going to be a reserved person, task-oriented, and love the details.
Love the details. So here's what we have in our description. High C personalities are analytical, precise, and process-driven. So we're going to kind of talk about how do we engage those strengths while preventing analysis paralysis. I've always loved that line, by the way.
Yes.
It's all about communication and clarity with these detail-focused thinkers. So Kevin, I'm going to turn it to you first because you are probably the only one around this table that has a semblance of C in your personality here. You're a high D, high C, right?
I'm not a high C, but I'm higher than these.
Well, we know Ricky for sure has a really low C, like
Mine's like an 8.
out of 100. So there it is. So Kevin, you're 52 C. That's what you said on the DISC assessment, right? You're 52 C. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So what defines a high C personality? And what do they bring to the team and the organization?
So, first and foremost, it's structure, right? They definitely are looking for the details. They won't make a move until they have all of the information, the metrics, and they truly are all about making sure that things are done in the right way.
Very good. So, so very detail oriented. I'm not that person. So, Kevin, when a high C writes an email, what does that email look like?
It's very structured, very detailed. The ask is very specific. They're looking for just details on what they need, right?
And it's sometimes can be pretty long. Not always, but it can be pretty long. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
There's
then
no stone unturned.
yeah, and so Ricky, as a high I, when you see a very long email from a high C, what's your reaction to that email?
Thumbs up.
Got it.
The okay sign.
Okay.
You emoji
it's all like
emoji
neck,
response this.
My response is thank you. Got it. And
I may not read it, but I got it, right?
that's exactly what I'm like. Oh my god.
I love it. I
I
love
run it
it.
through ChatGPT. ChatGPT, give me the bullet points.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Summarize this.
Well, and one of the things that, and Ricky and I have had this conversation a lot because we've been working on quite a few things together, is one of the things that we've both been talking about is how desperately we need the C in some of the work that we're doing, Ricky. And we've talked about with the podcast and with some of the things that we're working on, because that's not either yours or my inclinations, right? We're both high I's, high D's in that particular thing, but we really recognize that we need that C in terms of that. So what are some of communication pitfalls to avoid when working with a high C? So Patrick, you're working with a high C, how should you communicate and how should you not communicate to an individual with a high C?
So number one, avoid being vague, and try not to rush them into decision making, because they just need more information and they need to process it themselves. And they aren't going to believe what you necessarily say them. They want to go, and that's why you kind of need to give them some analytics or some kind of research behind what you're saying. But they also are going to want to go and do their own little research. So I think, and especially, we've talked about sales. Sales is a big one too. If you're talking to a high C, you can't expect them to buy something right away because they need information. And so, you want to use terms like, hey, we're going to go through the details. I'm going to give you plenty of time to do your own, investigative work and do some research, but have analytics. When you're meeting with them, come with an agenda and lay it down and say, hey, here's the things that we're going to go through. And if you have questions, I'm going to give you plenty of time to answer those questions for you. If we need to do some research, I'm also going to allow us to go in and do some research, and so that you understand clearly what we're talking about.
That's a great point. I think the return on investment is the biggest thing for a high C. They want to see how are they going to achieve what you're trying to bring them.
And so they need that verification, right? They show me data, show me verifiable articles, whatever it may be, that prove that this is it. Give me the scientific formula that made this work.
Yes.
But to your point, Patrick, it's slow, and it's not, and we don't mean slow in a negative way, but it's very intentional for them. And those of you who are high I's and high D's, like many of us around this table, part of what we need to do is give C's the space to do their work.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? And the time to do their work and not rush them, which I know I have a tendency to do. Is like, I can make a decision with half a fact in my head, right? But that's not the C. In many ways,
Fire, aim.
ready, fire, aim. Yeah. So not even, it's just fire, for a lot of folks. Where the high C is ready, aim.
Hey, can you come and check this? Make
Yeah,
sure I
yeah.
got the right wind and
is this the right
variance,
target
right
too?
distance?
Right, yeah.
Mhm.
And quite honestly, every organization needs that. So Kevin, let's we sometimes make fun of all the different personalities, right? We've made fun of Ricky with a high I, right, and those types of things. So we often want to go to the high C, give them a hard time about like the ready aim, and they can't make decisions. But every organization needs a C in their realm. What are the 2 or 3 biggest values that a C brings to an organization, and why we need to pay attention to our high Cs?
So they're the ones that are going to make sure that you have the structure in place, right? Mm-hmm. And they're the ones that are going to make sure that the project, the job is complete. And they're going to double check it and triple check it and make sure that it's right?
Yeah.
Before they mark it green
That's
and
exactly
done,
right.
They're
Yeah.
going to take their time in doing that. Absolutely.
And they'll also be the anchor of reality, because sometimes we start flying so high and we're excited and everything's fine. And they're like, whoa, wait. What if this
mean?
happened? And what does that happen? And what if you're like, hey, what's slowing me down? I don't need reality.
That stuff's
right
not going to happen. It's fine.
Yeah. Or our favorite one, right? Because a lot of times people that are the high Cs are in the financial side of the business. They're your accountants, your controllers, and that's not in the budget. Like,
Budget.
And when it's too
What's
good
that?
to believe, they're the people that are like, no, this is way too good to
Way too
believe,
good to
right?
It's
Yeah.
way too good to be true.
What's our ROI? Like
Yeah.
you said.
Well, and I'll say as a high I, I've had to report to board members and executives that are high C's, and man, I feel like I could sell anybody on any numbers I've made up, but like I have run into resistance by board members and executives who are like, show me more. Like, I don't have more. And they put me on the spot in the meeting, but that's what they expect.
Yeah.
And so I, as a high I, high D, had to change my behavior, knowing that my supervisor is looking for that I had to come armed with better data and better argument. And that was a hard lesson for me to learn, because I'm like, look at the smile, guys. Like, how do you not just agree with everything I just said, right? You know?
Prove it.
Yeah, exactly right.
Well, and they're the exact opposite of the I, and so they're exact opposite. So they truly, when that I comes in, they're already frustrated because they're like, oh, here comes the sales guy.
Yep.
He's gonna
Trying to sell
start talking about and going in circles.
And I have certainly felt that energy, right? Because they know I'm a clear eye, right? They have felt that energy, and you can almost see them not rolling their eyes, but rolling their eyes, right? And like, times like, so, whatever, I can deal with that. It's fine. So what roles, knowing that any disc personality could be in any role, right? I get that. We've talked about that, but what are some of the roles that we find high C's in certain organizations?
Accounting.
Finance, yep.
Engineers, architects.
yeah.
Not the deep project management.
Uh-huh.
We're formulas. A plus B equals C, right? And they can figure, that it's just math. So anytime there's math, science, you're going to find a lot of high C's.
So I have a question. What happens if you put a C in a sales position and ask them to go out and start knocking on doors?
Yeah, I would say this: they're going to have a tough time because they're going to want to. But I think they're also, once they get past kind of that, they start to do it, they're going to find a formula that works.
Hey, that's exactly right. Yeah.
They're going to.
So not that they can't do it, right? But they're going to figure out it's going to look very different than the way Ricky goes out and knocks on doors.
Yeah, and they're going to have the number. They're going to go, okay, you knock 3 times, you wait 5 seconds, you knock another 2.
You wait for a reply before you.
Yes, they're going to come up with the formula. They're going to formulate everything that they do, and they're going to be like, okay, yeah, go to, hey, if you show up to a house with, 2 white cars and a red, that's a deal. Because every time I do that, or, hey, you know what, 2 blue cars and a brown car, they slammed the door on you.
Yeah.
But to your point, then that's really valuable, because if your high C's going out there and doing some sales, they can observe some things that your high I isn't going to observe, and in many ways can actually create some best practices.
Yeah, they make good trainers.
Or a desk manual. Yeah, great trainer, right? So because they've got the data to kind of back up, 2 white cars and 1 red car, go to that house for sure, right? We joke about that, but there may be truth to that. I don't know, but
Barking dog.
I'm not
Don't
gonna.
come in.
I'm a high I. I'm not gonna look at the data. So, but if a high C tells me that, I'm gonna believe it. And I think that's an important thing, right? For the rest of the team, when a high C comes with data, I have a great high C that I work with right now. I adore him so much. He's so detail oriented. He's a great project manager. He's in marketing and communications, but he gets everything done. And if he says it, I'm in. There is nothing he needs to do to convince me to say yes, because I know he's done the due diligence. And I think that's the power.
Yeah.
Where when I'm trying to convince somebody, people are like, have you done the due diligence? Right? And I think that's the value of a high C for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Wonderful. How can we help high Cs be more comfortable in creating calculated risk and making quicker decisions, right? Because sometimes there are times we need to make quicker decisions and we can't just ready, aim, right? How can we kind of coach high Cs that might be in our realm to make those quicker decisions when necessary?
I would say that bring the data.
Yeah, I was
Right?
just
Like,
going to say that.
if you, to what Patrick said earlier, if you're vague and you're using your feelings and say, hey, so what do you feel about this? And, if you don't have your argument ready that they can be, diplomatic on, for them, it's not about making a slow decision. It's making about the best decision. So if you give them the data to be able to analyze and say, hey, here's what I'm looking at, and they bring their data, you bring your data and say, oh, great, best data wins. Yeah, perfect, let's go. Like they can make very quick decisions based on the data and the numbers. It's what slows them down is, I want to give you a shot because they're very kind and diplomatic people. I want to believe you, but you don't have anything to support. Like, you just have your feelings, and I can't live off of that.
And their emotion is fear. So they don't want to make a mistake for not gathering the enough information
Or the right data.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that we got a light that came on. So we got the strobe light. We got a party going on.
Yeah, there we go.
But that's so I think it's if you can give them also that culture of, hey, if you make a mistake, it's not going to be the end of the world. If we choose the wrong thing, we'll be able to come back around and have another solution.
That's beautiful, right? That idea of like we got to let them make mistakes, because certainly high Ds, for instance, as an example, are willing to just throw some stuff on the wall, see what sticks, and run with it. And some of that stuff is going to fail, and that's okay. And some people feel very comfortable with that. High Cs don't necessarily. So not punishing them, obviously, when they fail or make a mistake, but really embracing that, hey, we tried it. It didn't work. We now have more data to show us what works and what doesn't, using some of that language.
Yes.
For sure. Ricky, what are some popular people, what are some popular culture people out in the popular culture who are high Cs? Just to kind of give some context, are there any famous people out there that are high Cs?
Elon
He's
Musk.
a high I.
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk.
Musk.
High C Elon Musk. Okay. What else? Who else? Just to kind of give some context for that. Did I stump you guys?
Yeah,
on
Yeah,
that
you
one?
did.
Bill
Ooh.
Gates. No,
You know-
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates would be a good one. Yeah, absolutely.
Again, anybody that's going to be a lot of the tech guys, again, they're driven by formula.
Yeah.
So you're going to see a lot of the tech people, again, accountants.
So maybe like a Zuckerberg type of thing at Facebook,
Yeah,
that type of
100%.
thing. Yeah. So, okay. That's really helpful to know. So what strategies work for keeping high Cs motivated and confident in fast-paced environments? I think again, we know that not all owners and leaders are high Ds or high Is, but we know that many of them can be, and they're entrepreneurs, they're go-getters, they're risk takers, and sometimes they need those high Cs in their organization to kind of stabilize them. But how do we keep those high Cs motivated and confident in a really fast-paced environment?
I would say allow them to shut their door, put their headphones on, and not be disturbed, because they just don't. Change does not come fast and easy.
Interesting.
I want to add to that. Make sure that they're equipped with tools and the right tools.
And let them tell you what tools they need, right?
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
we may not know.
That's why I said the right tools.
Yeah,
right?
the headphone thing is actually really interesting, because as a high I myself, I get bothered by the headphones. And it's becoming more prevalent in the workplace, especially in places like where there's cubicles and open workspaces and things like that, where it makes sense you need some kind of focus. But for me, I'm looking for the distraction for the next person to come in, and earphones don't allow me to engage with you. So,
Not available.
So that's my issue, not their issue, right? In terms of that. So, but that's really interesting, because I think some of us would hear that, Patrick, about the headphones and go, not in my culture. But yet you're saying there is a place for that in your work culture, especially based on the DISC personality.
Yeah.
And I would say let them go develop systems and processes.
Yeah.
Let them get into the things, because you want them to run through walls. Let them be efficient. Let
Absolutely.
them drive efficiencies. Give them projects that really fit their personality style, and they'll do it. Like there's not going to be a problem. You're not going to pull teeth. You try to put a high C to say, hey, I need you to go do business development.
No, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, and give them, they'll thrive also with deadlines. Like, they like deadlines. Now, again, so give them a little bit. You got to think a little bit more forward instead of being super reactive. But give them, hey, we got a week. We got to get this done, and they'll map it all out and they'll get it done for you in those deadlines.
We work with some brilliant business owners that are high Cs. They're just great innovators. They love to have, come up with products that other people struggle with, or how do I make someone's life better? How can I do something better? Some of the most famous Cs are good innovators.
That's really interesting. I had a situation where, again, I'm a high I, right? Get me out with people. I had an individual I was working with who was good with people and would go out, and his job description was to go out and do some business development, to your point, Ricky. And I had a task that I needed to do where I needed to do a deep dive into our database, look at a bunch of Excel sheets to figure out how to kind of make things different. And of course, I avoided that project and avoided that project and avoided that project because I don't get into any of that at all, right? And so this individual that was part of my team, we were talking, and I said, "Tell me, what do you know about databases, and tell me what you think about what's happening with our database and how we can make it better." And he spit off just in the first 10 seconds a bunch of different ideas of things that we need to do and make things happen. And I said, "All right, time out here. Let's change roles here. Let me take more of the business development stuff that you are doing, and let me have you do this deep dive into the database." And he's like, "Yes, this is what I've been dying for." I'm like, "Oh my God, me too." And so we were like so happy because basically we switched roles.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, I don't have to do the deep dive of the database. And so he helped us cleaned up the database because we had a lot of errors in it. We had fields that we weren't using that needed to be deleted. It was a mess, right? And now it's all clean, and he's helping create a desk manual for it and everything like that, right? And I'm like, this guy, John Ronaldo, is not doing a desk manual. That is not a... I don't want to say it's not a good use of my time, but it doesn't fit my behavior. But for him, he's all in it. And so we were like, for both each other, we're like, "Oh, I love working with you." And he's like, "I love working with you." And we're just have a bromance going on. It's a really great thing. So, but that was the moment at that one call we had where I discovered that he really was a high C, pretended to be high I. And he could do the business development stuff, and he was good at that. I'm not saying he wasn't, but where he really thrived was doing that deep dive. And I'm like, I am so grateful for you. So he's my hero as far as I'm concerned.
So right? I'm going to take this moment to do a shameless plug for the DISC assessment. This is a great point. If you're a business owner and you're trying to figure out who's the right seat, who on your team should be in the right seat on the bus, because exactly what just happened is, hey, because we have somebody who can do the role, we put them in that role, but are they the best person for that role? And is that going to give them fulfillment? So you have somebody who is dying to get into the data and analytics and dashboard, who absolutely change the organization and the flow of information, right? They put you into business development, which again, absolutely changed the organization. And now you have the two people who are, can do it. It's just boom. So the DISC assessment has a page called Ideal Environment. And it is one of my favorite pages because it really tells about, it's not job specific, but environment specific and roles. And if you've not taken the DISC assessment, reach out to us. We can talk about it, but it is lights out and will help you figure out who should be where.
Well, to your point, the description I just shared with you all is that we had immediate ROI, and we have, we've seen it in the revenue side of things because of a clean database. And so that was, for us, was a huge win for us. Absolutely. You were going to jump in, Patrick.
No, I was going to say Ricky had an example this week of exactly what you just said. We had a client that called, and he was the owner, the business owner was frustrated with somebody in a role. And Ricky was able to go, because he's so familiar with the client and the DISC assessment, he was able to kind of push back to the owner and say, "Hey, you know what? I think you're riding this horse wrong." And you have you thought about this, and kind of gave him some scenarios that are based exactly from the report. And he said, "Look, if you're looking for somebody to do what you're asking, you do have the wrong person, but that's not why you hired this person, and that's not what's going to drive him." And it really was reframing the way that the business owner was approaching his staff, and we know the results are going to be what the business owner wants, because he doesn't want to have to run that division of his company. He wants this person to, but he just was, again, he was just approaching it and communicating wrong because of the behavior. He was communicating in the way he wants to be communicated to, not in the way that this director needs to.
The platinum rule, right, Ricky? The platinum rule. That's what we call that. So I think that's a perfect example. The DISC assessment, when you go onto the website, check it out, 3-peak.com to find the DISC assessment. It's all there. And it's like 47, 48 pages. So if you're a high C, you're already going to love the report because there's so much good data there and color charts and all sorts of things. The high I's will love the color charts. The high C's are going to love just how detailed it really is. It is really life-changing.
Right to the back of the page.
Say that again?
The D's will go straight to the back of the page.
Yeah. Absolutely. So check that out. You know, we again, I said at the beginning of the show, I'm going to say it again. We're huge fans of disc. I think it's life-changing when your team knows each other's disc profile because it changes. It literally changes how you all begin to work with each other.
100%.
And it makes a huge difference for your organization. So check it out. This is probably a must-have thing. 3-peak.com. Go check it out. You might get Ricky or Patrick or me or who knows coming out and doing some disc assessments for you all.
Let's go.
We'd love to make that happen. So Kevin, you doing the disc out there?
No. I
didn't think
You
so.
did it. You did it starting.
Awesome. Well, High Seas, we absolutely love you. We absolutely need you. And so hopefully you feel affirmed. Those of you who are not High Seas, hopefully you're learning how to work with those in your organization that are High Seas and recognizing that you need High Seas in your organization. So really be on the lookout for those folks that are going to help you out, again, on some of those categories that we set. All right, guys, that wraps up another episode here of Are You Killing It?
Killing it.
The podcast powered by Peak Performance Partners. I just love doing this with you guys. The energy you all bring to the table is so much fun. I hope as you guys are watching, listening, are enjoying the content here, again, subscribe, follow, share, go to 3-peak.com to find out more about the disc assessment, and we can't wait to see you at the next episode of our podcast. Take care, everybody.